Good morning, my colleagues on the dais, off the dais, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, my previous speaker, he gave you a lot of perspective about legal. And he was introduced that he will be addressing legal. That doesn't constitute that all speakers are illegal. We all are legal. He gave you legal perspective. It doesn't mean that, okay. This is the 7th ASSOCHAM conference on insolvency and bankruptcy code. And I must compliment ASSOCHAM for completing all the days of a week. That is, this is the 7th conference. And I expect, and I would expect from ASSOCHAM that in the near future, they will be covering all the days of a month, and we will soon be, looking forward for 31st conference of this sort in a national or an international atmosphere. For that, my best wishes to ASSOCHAM. You see, on the today's topic of attracting investment in the IBC cases, I must admit it's a tough task. It's not that easy task because of various things. First of all, the law is only just 6 years old. It is developing. It is developing day by day because of lot of judicial pronouncements. Whatever aberrations which are coming, you all must have been observing Vidarbha, Rainbow, or so on or so forth. All of them are coming because of judicial pronouncements. There is no problem as far as the law is concerned. Law is clear. And I must compliment IBBI for bringing such a law where the regulator is so, the regulator is doing things so fast that whenever you pose a problem before them, they are coming forward and they are trying to resolve this. I must compliment IBBI for the same. You see, when we talk about insolvency law and we try to go to the history of insolvency law, I think the best thing which are coming to in our mind is the insolvency law of UK, which became the guiding principle for insolvency law in India in 1848. The Insolvency Act of 1848 was brought to Indian corporates in the Indian system by Britishers. Thereafter, there was Presidency Town Insolvency Act and Provincial Town Insolvency Act, which is replaced by this IBC 2016. I was just looking at that that in India the insolvency law has been brought by Britishers. And it is startling to note that if you go to the history of insolvency law of India, it goes back to even Treta Yug. I could not find anything in Satyug which is relevant to insolvency, but yes, in Treta Yug we have a very clear example of insolvency. You all must have known the story of Raja Harishchandra. At that time, in Treta Yug, there were no corporates. When there were no corporates, then the corporate insolvency was nowhere in picture. But yes, certainly at that time, the kingdoms used to be there, which used to hold all the wealth of the particular area. Raja Harishchandra was king, and he lost all his kingdom to one of the saints. Not only that, the entire kingdom, that is all the assets of today, nowadays corporate world, he lost his entire family, his wife and his son, to the saint because of some arrangement between these two. He used to be considered always a truthful man to everybody. Raja Harishchandra, उनका नाम लेके हम सब लोग सत्य की बात करते हैं, सत्यवादी Raja Harishchandra. And you will find an example of personal insolvency also in Treta Yug. He became insolvent. He was made a slave to a Chandal in Shamshan Ghat. And see the righteousness and the honesty of a person when his own son came for funeral and his wife brought for funeral. He said, sorry, you have to pay the fee, whatever is to be paid. Finally, he got everything. He regained everything. He gained his family as well, regained his family as well as the kingdom also. And when you come to the Dwapar Yug, you will find that the biggest example of, there are so many other examples also. I'm just giving one from each yug. In Dwapar Yug, the biggest example of insolvency of the kingdom as well as personal insolvency is from Pandavas. Pandavas lost everything and they had to go for Vanvas. There are cases of insolvency in Mughal Kal also, medieval India also, and there are cases, one of the finest example of insolvency in Arthashastra. The relevant text from Arthashastra can be found in book 3, chapter 13 of the Arthashastra. Here the translation of the text is, if a merchant declares himself unable to pay his, the translation of the text is, if a merchant declares himself unable to pay his debts, his affairs shall be investigated. If his claim is found true, his creditors shall be paid in proportion of to their claims. Take it up to nowadays situation. Here there are committee of creditors. Creditors file insolvency petition. And if he is declared insolvent, he is discharged also by liquidation or so. So the point I am referring to, that it doesn't mean that we have to go to the British era only for finding insolvency. Insolvency is in India from the ancient times. Now coming back to the today's situation. You see, I have been asked by the organizers to give some perspective from the bench side, because that is normally hidden, that is not known to everybody. And today I can openly speak to you because I am not in position of the member, I have demitted office, I can speak to you openly. In one of the case, we got a liquidation order, a liquidation request from the COC. What happened is, it was a broadcasting case, famous case of Reliance Big TV, which was sold to third parties. Later on, the next management came in picture. Just for a outstanding of a financial creditor of rupees 84 lakhs, those were about 8-9 Bolero vehicles which were financed by the cooperative bank. All those big financial loans were already paid. It was almost a debt-free company, except this 84 lakh rupee loan on Bolero vehicles. The company was brought into insolvency, or insolvency order was passed by our bench only, and about 1 year later or so, we got a liquidation application. We found it that, they say practically there is no asset in the company. All the, this was a home TV type project where direct to home service was given. We came to know that about 50 crore rupees bank guarantee of the corporate debtor has been invoked by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. We just looked at the things and found that the invocation has been done 1 day later to the admission order of NCLT, which was ultra vires, which could have been, reversed by the bench. We also found that there are 978 crore rupees government dues which are unpaid. And they wanted to liquidate the company. The license of the company was suspended. It was not cancelled. It was suspended by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. We asked the counsel appearing for Ministry of Broadcasting. We called him particularly on this case. And he said that the license is suspended. In case they comply with the condition, the license can be revived. And on the issue of invocation of bank guarantees, we were very clear that because the bank guarantee has been invoked one day later of the admission order,